History of Turkish coffee. Coffee was first brought to Istanbul in 1555 by two Syrian traders, and by the 17th century it became an essential part of Ottoman court's elaborate ceremonies. The Sultan was served coffee ceremoniously by his coffee makers, and this ritual also played a role in marriage customs. Women in the harem will train to brew the perfect drink, and potential husbands would judge a woman by her skill in making Turkish coffee. Even today, when a suitor's family asks the parents of his potential wife for her hand in marriage, Turkish coffee is served by the bride-to-be. UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage List. Turkish coffee special preparation, brewing techniques, and rich communal culture made it worthy of being inscribed into UNESCO's Intangible Cultural Heritage List in 2013. The tradition itself has also been recognized as a symbol of hospitality and friendship, with locals meeting at a coffee house to converse over coffee, or coffee being offered to visitors as a welcoming gesture. The beverage's importance in social occasions was also an important factor in its inscription, with coffee being served during holidays and engagement ceremonies. The famous coffee houses. First opened in Tahtakale neighborhood in Eminönü almost 5 centuries ago, coffee houses quickly became the center point of a social life for men in Turkey. They were also the main place for the dissemination of oral culture in the Ottoman Empire, offering a place for bards, comedians, artists, and any other kind of showman to perform in front of a crowd. This made the humble coffee houses an exhibition place for the folk literature, such as the shadow plays of Karakos and Hacivat. Today, the coffee houses continue to be a place where men gather to socialize, talk politics, and play backgammon over cups of tea and coffee. Best roast for Turkish coffee. When preparing Turkish-style coffee, it's best to use a dark roast that stands up to the other strong flavors and aromas in the brew. Like espresso, you drink so much of the finely pulverized bean that its flavors are intensely magnified in the cup. In addition, I found that using half cup is more mellow and well-rounded, as well as being much more manageable in terms of caffeine content. Turkish coffee isn't the easiest, most convenient way to make coffee, but the intensity of aroma of this brewing method will have fanatical coffee lovers jumping to try it. The first step to making Turkish brew is to use a coffee grinder capable of grinding coffee beans down to a fine powder. For this reason, one must have a coffee mill. The paper mill imports traditional coffee mill is marketed as a heavy-duty spice grinder, but it does a fine job at Turkish grind. It is expertly created by hand for precision quality. Its good cylinder body is pleasing to the eye, while it easily grind coffee beans to a dust-like consistency. How to grind coffee without a grinder? To grind coffee without a grinder, they must use mortar and pestle. Traditionalists and pharmacists have used this method over the years to grind spices, medicines, and herbs into fine powder. It is a combination of hammering and rolling motion which helps to produce a consistent grind mixture. This alternative grinder can produce fine grounds similar to use for espresso. Coffee reading and fortune telling. In the Balkans and Turkey, a favorite pastime is drinking Turkish coffee, followed by having your fortune told from the leftover coffee grounds in the cup. Turkish coffee reading fall in the category of tachiography, the divination methods of interpreting patterns in tea leaves, coffee grounds, or wine sediments. Turkish coffee readings are very entertaining, and I do encourage everyone to try it at least once. And at first the pattern may seem a bit chaotic and random, but through practice, a bit of intuition, and a dash of imagination, the patterns in the cup will take shape, allowing the readers to interpret them. There's another thing that interesting about Turkish coffee and the tradition, especially when getting married to a Turkish man. One of the conditions is to prepare a good Turkish coffee, otherwise you raise a life of jokes, as they take their coffee and tea very seriously. Actually, there is a Turkish before the wedding tradition called Ghzp, in which the future husband has to ask the future bride hand from her family, her father being the decision maker. The girl has to prepare coffee for some important members of the family, and they have to appreciate if she is making a good one. The trick is that the groom's coffee is made with salt instead of sugar, and his reaction is important to the future life of the couple. The meaning is that if his reaction is one of the rejection, he will not be able to accept and love the bride as she is, also in difficult times. It's a beautiful tradition that I witnessed twice, and it's a special family moment. The coffee plays an important role as it does in the everyday life also. The preparation of Turkish coffee is not difficult, and I will explain to you the main step. The first thing you have to know that according to the quantity of sugar, the coffee can be without sugar or more sugar. If you are going to order a Turkish coffee in a restaurant or coffee shop, you should tell in advance the quantity of sugar you want in it. The preparation is made in an copper coffee pot called Ghzp, but you can use also another metal one. The coffee you should be an original Turkish one, or if you don't have the sauce for it, it's very fine grain coffee. The traditional Turkish coffee is made on burning charcoal, but if you make it in the home, you can make it a usual stove, setting it to the minimum. And that's all from me. Thank you, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.